Hi, Darin Mangum here, the PPM Attorney. Today I wanted to talk about Rule 506C, and for those of you that are doing offerings, doing private placement memorandum offerings or offerings to accredited investors only under Rule 506C. In my opinion, 506C is the true crowdfunding statute. It really is a great exemption to use, especially if you want to get the word out. You don't want to have to beat around the bush about trying to establish a pre-existing relationship and then trying to do the offering. If you want the freedom to advertise and promote the offering over the internet, TV, television, Google AdWords, what have you, to find investors, really 506C is the best way to go. Now, clearly, 506C does have its limitations. It has to be geared toward accredited investors only, but the nice thing is that you can raise an unlimited amount of money as long as all of your investors are accredited. Clients ask me, can you have one or two non-accrediteds? The answer is no. All of your investors in a 506C offering have to be accredited, and plus you have to verify that they're accredited. Now, what does verification mean, and how do you do it? A lot of clients, they'll say, well, I'll just rely upon some third-party verification company that's going to verify. I'll pay them $50 or whatever, and they'll verify that my investors are all accredited. Now, that's fine if that's really they deliver and do that. And if you ever are called upon to provide evidence that you took reasonable steps, you really have to ask them, like say in the context of an SEC investigation, did you comply with the rule? Well, are they gonna actually show up and provide that verification proof that you verified? Again, in my opinion, verification is something that could easily be done by you or your administrative staff. I mean, you're going to be taking in investor paperwork anyway, subscription agreement and suitability questionnaire, and the only thing with a 506C is that you have to provide, the third thing is verification or proof that the person has been verified as an accredited investor, and that's something that you can do. Verification, the SEC, when they came out with the rule, they didn't say that these are the only ways to provide verification, but they did provide a number of concrete examples. The most common examples that I found clients have had success with that don't really cause a lot of problems with the investor is number one, a letter from their CPA. Generally speaking, if they're really accredited and obviously their accountant can verify that they're accredited, a letter from the CPA is probably the least invasive, or the most easy for them to obtain. They just call their accountant up and say, hey, I just need a letter saying that I'm accredited, and then when you receive that letter from the CPA, you've done your job in verifying that they are accredited, and you keep a copy of that CPA letter in the file along with the investor's other paperwork. And so again, if you ever had to provide proof that you verified, you have that. The other most common way to verify is copies of the investor's tax returns showing that their taxable income was greater than $200,000, or in the case of married filing jointly, $300,000 over the past 2 years, and obviously with a statement saying that they have the reasonable expectation that they're going to continue to have that same income in the coming year. And so, again, copies of those of the past two, you don't have to collect the entire tax return, just those two documents, the 1040, the first 2 pages of their tax returns. You have copies of that in your file along with the subscription agreement and suitability questionnaire. yeah, you've done your job in verifying that they're accredited, right? Those are the two most common ways, the most, again, least invasive ways. There are certainly other ways to verify accreditation. I mean, one example that the SEC gave is that they said, hey, look, if the investors, if you set a super high minimum investment, like $1 million minimum investment, and the investor comes up with $1 million, they're going to be presumed to be accredited because, how many non-accredited investors out there have $1 million just to write a check for, things like that. Obviously, if your minimums are lower, 25,000, 50,000, certainly you're going to need to provide adequate steps. Another way to provide verification is to get a credit report from the investor, along with financial statements, like audited financial statements. Especially if your investor is say your investor is a private equity fund, or let's say that they're the investors coming in through their company. Certainly sometimes they do have financial statements like that and a credit report, but obviously that's a little more. It's probably a little more difficult for them to pull together, and so usually, again, a letter from the CPA that would probably be an easier way to provide verification. So anyway, but that's just something in mind. Again, if you're using a 506C offering, you definitely don't want to ignore that, and especially if you are using a third-party provider to do the verification, you just want to make darn sure that they're going to be, you need to ask them, hey, what exactly do you provide us with in the case we do ever get audited, or we got a investigation from the SEC? What is the supporting documents behind what you're doing to verify? And you just need to know that. And again, it's easy enough to, in my opinion, do that kind of verification yourself. But anyway, but if you have any questions about any of that kind of thing, again, feel free to give me a call. You can call me on my cell phone, 801-787-9072, or you can go to my website, theppmattorney.com. But again, when you're doing a private placement memorandum or a private offering, but using general solicitation under 506C, certainly you're going to want to make sure you're doing it right, and I certainly can happy to help you and answer any questions you have. But anyway, thanks for watching. Hopefully this video is helpful, and we'll see you around on the next video. Thank you.